Set this back, and now we're at a whole brand new level. You can have as many of these levels as you want. Just use the AWSD keys, and you can easily paint a row of tiles. I'm going to go ahead and pause and add some backgrounds. I've gone ahead and made an arena, a stage to fight a boss. First thing I'm going to need is a camera lock, which is about halfway down the list.
Camera locks can be activated through collision or with triggers. The boundaries that are locked are the ones that are set higher than -1 on the parameters.
If you need the exact coordinates of where to set this, hold shift and you can get the exact mouse coordinates. So we want to set the minimum X value for the camera to be about 850. It works on edges, not centers. Test it quickly by using the collision instead of the trigger. Now the camera cannot go backwards. Move this down here again and set the maximum to about 1500. Maximum X. Apply. ID value is what triggers it. Let's just set this. I usually use the X value to set these so they don't get mixed up. This is 35X. So I'll set it to 35. It's good practice. And the trigger box over here, orientation 1 to get vertical. ID value 35 to trigger that. Spawn area 0 since it's not spawning anything.
Yay!
Now the camera's locked in this little area. Now that you have the arena, you just need the boss. I suggest the mech mode would need to be bunny inside, which is less health than the regular boss. You want to make it a little more subtle. You can make the camera lock appear a lot earlier in the X position, so you don't even notice it happens. Like 620.
Yay!
Now, fight the boss over here, but there's no real advantage. The camera's still locked on this side. You can't go too far back that way. Of course, you'll need to be let out. You see in the camera lock the disable ID. Let's set that to 36. 36. Let's copy this trigger, put it underground, give it an ID of 36, and you should know what's coming. Go to the enemy, trigger on death, 36. Now the enemy dying will trigger this entity down here and let you out by disabling this.
Yay!
And there you have a locked boss room. So when the mech dies, the camera lock is disabled and you can continue. So that about covers the basics. There's a lot of extra stuff in the entities. There's a lot of flexibility. There's a lot of functions for the tile editor. I will try to go through each of them. Double clicking on these will cycle between solid, semi-transparent, and invisible. This is mostly useful for editing purposes, but if you save it that way and run it, your graphics will be semi-transparent if you so wish. Change these with the layer changer entity right here. This is the delete layer button. That's self-explanatory. You have to select one layer, press it, it'll ask you if you want to delete it. If you don't, for God's sake, press no. The double click is the shortcut for this button here. And there's one more thing we need to set up, of course. Let's open up the options tab. Set the boundary to a little bit past the boss, something we could not reach without killing the boss. And map door or exit. We want it to be walk off right. And if you click on this, on the description, it says down here, to end the game, set the next map name to : end : And this is what I'm going to show us how to do. Colon end, colon. Do a quick run through of the map. And what happens when you end without setting any settings for the ending screen. There's joke text that will call you lazy. So let's first of all add some music because it's a little dry, isn't it? Click an entity here. You want to sync the ID value to that trigger. Music is coordinated with this drop-down list starting with 0. You want to have it as the mech, so value 9 is what you need. Alright, let's check it out.
Yay!
Music starts. Let's set the default music to something spooky. And we want to change the music after the boss dies too. Let's create another option, change it to 36. Music for the ending. Let's just change it to 0. Stop all music after the boss dies.
Yay!
And it works. So for the end screen, you have to go to this button here called the end. You can set a background image, which is going to be placed in the default folder. I'll go ahead and place one there for testing. I'm going to go ahead and reopen that to refresh, and now there's a picture there. Again, that goes into the root mod folder, the folder created when you've created your mod. Scrolling text can be whatever your mind desires. Pay no attention to that text, it is not important. Music choice also corresponds to this list. By default, it's endgame. That should fit almost any ending. As you can see, when we preview it, the text will slowly crawl up from your image you set from the background. Speed increases the crawl speed the lower the number is set.
Yay!
Now when we defeat the boss, and beat the game, it shows our ending. And now we've been on a fantastic adventure.